Check, check, check. Awesome. Okay. Hey, everybody. Of course, as I start this, all of the noise outside, but such is life. Oh, it was the sound on YouTube, y'all, that I didn't have on. Let me share this. All right. Happy full moon, everybody. Happy. Whew, I feel like it's been a while since I've gone live. I don't know that I've gone live. Thank you. I don't know that I've gone live since the last illumination, which was the new moon. I've been tired, y'all. I've been doing the most, and I'm really trying not to do the most these days. Hey, everybody. Hello. So, before I start, announcements. If you did not know, we have a whole entire Divination for Liberation community calendar, which means that we have programming, we have events, educational events, gathering, chill, fun events, all of these things. Oh, I did do TikTok, and I actually recorded a video of horoscopes that I just didn't edit that I was supposed to put out, but I might just put it up exactly how it is. I might not edit it. Oh no, I have to edit it. Damn it. Anyways, so lots of Div for Lib community things coming up tonight, this evening. And I love the timing of this. Tonight, this evening, we're having a full moon party. If you've not ever been to a full moon party with the Div for Lib community, this is your chance to join us and find out what it is that we do. This full moon party is hosted by Winter, Mix Mercury, Madison, Sidereal Maven, Elias, Papa Boko, and I'm in there in the mix as well. We gather on Zoom every full moon and to talk about the full moon. Normally we end up kind of discussing and reflecting and sharing on what I talk about in this full moon reading. We talk about the guide, and all of that stuff is free. So it's a great way to just get into some community of liberation-minded people. Then we have on the 23rd, I'm doing the second cohort of Intro to Parenting with Sidereal Astrology, Reclaiming the Capacity to Cry for Help. Come, join us. That is $25. The first of many events. If you were a part of cohort number 1, please fill out the Google form so that we can get to scheduling the second session in alignment with what we all want it to be. What else do we have coming up? There's a Libra support group, which is the second in the support group series facilitated by Winter Taylor. That is on July 28th. You can find all of these links. I'll share them again, like on my Twitter or something, so that they can be easy. But there's actually a community calendar thread that I really should have pinned to my profile. Don't ask me why, but I'll do that. And then finally, the last thing that's on the calendar as of right now, the full moon party is on Zoom. The last thing that's on the calendar for right now is the study salon number 3. Study salon number 3 in Intro to Aspects. Y'all know this is going to be Divination for Liberation style. If you've been to any of my other workshops, consumed any of my other content, or learned from what I offer, you know that what I'm going to say and teach about with the aspects is going to be in alignment with the Divination for Liberation. Very, very excited about that. Just been pulling together this information. This will just be an intro, and I will present the rest of the content at another time, maybe in just subsequent study salons or workshops, or maybe like I did the Wounds and Gifts workshop. We'll see. Other than that, things not on the calendar but coming up are Saturn return in Sidereal Capricorn. Saturn return in Sidereal Capricorn workshop. I did one for Aquarius that's up in my online shop, and I'm going to do one for Capricorn because y'all Saturn return ain't over. Okay? So that's probably going to be in August. I think that's all for now. The Intro to Aspects workshop is August 14th. I haven't really shared that because I know we got a lot going on, but I will put up the flyer and the link on my Instagram page and it's already on Twitter, but y'all probably missed that. The link is actually in the description of this video too, to register for that. I think that's really it. Winter started, new moon yoga, so we have full moon party. Jinx literally pops up on my screen as I'm saying it. Winter. Yeah, August 1st is the new moon in Sidereal Cancer. This will be the second installment of the new moon yoga, which is free. So we have free offerings and we have low cost for pay offerings. And it's just a way to stay in community and to keep our minds focused on liberation and to have some fun, just kind of fellowshipping and hanging out with people who share the same vision for the present and future, and who are actively working towards that. If you missed Imagine Us Free number 2, it's up on YouTube. I can't even. That's the other thing. Imagine Us Free number 3 is going to be on nourishing optimism and cultivating hope. So remember, we are building the skill of imagination. Imagine Us Free number 3 will be sometime in August as well, and we will be talking about nourishing optimism and cultivating hope in this decolonizing our survival instincts work and imagining ourselves free. I know a lot of people have asked me that question, and as I've been, really focused on my own political education and learning as much as I can, I finally got some language around that, and so that's what we're going to be talking about in Imagine Us Free number 3. Number 1 and 2 are online. These events are always free, but your donations are always welcome, as it costs to have a Zoom that hosts more than 100 people. It costs to have a Zoom that lasts more than 40 minutes. And then of course my labor of preparation. If you do so find that valuable, your donations are always welcome because we got to eat over here. But yeah, that's it. Welcome to the full moon reading for July 13th, 2022. As always, we are starting with, I've been practicing my makeup. And so I've been trying to get this minimalist thing going on because I know that I have genetically pretty good skin, so I don't have to put much on. But I like it. I don't know. Anyways, as always, we're starting with the 2022 Sidereal Astrology Guide, and that means that we're going straight to the back to the month of July, fill in the blanks. And we have here in our fill in the blanks, a lot going on this month. I think it might be 2 pages of fill in the blanks. So we've got the fill in the blank for the full moon that says embodying the truth. I have been meditating on this fill in the blank for a while now, and circumambulating it and thinking about all of the meanings that come up as I think about that phrase, all of the things that kind of come up for me, and what I'm observing in the world around me as I think about this phrase, embodying the truth. And when I wrote this, I know that I was definitely thinking about the fact that we have a full moon in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter in Pisces has not gotten much help this year. it has not gotten a lot of a lot of transits that gave it some influence. You know, we talk about the sidereal zodiac signs establishing a hierarchy of relationship priorities, connection priorities, survival priorities. And in order for a planet to really have some influence, yes, being in its own sign helps, with which Jupiter is, but also having planets in a sign ruled by that planet helps. So, you know, when we do the prominent and dominant planets in your birth chart calculations, this applies for the transiting sky as well. And so even though Jupiter has been in its own sign of Pisces for a while now, it's kind of just been over there doing the heavy work of trying to get you to trust yourself and your body all by itself. It really has not had much assistance in its goal of trying to get you to be a little bit more skeptical and trying to get you to develop self-trust in your own body. So here we are at this full moon in Sidereal Sagittarius, and the moon in Sagittarius is looking to Jupiter for connection. It's looking to Jupiter for guidance. You know, Sagittarius is about rooting out prejudice, right? Understanding the ways that we prejudge other people, prejudge our experiences, and have kind of fixed and solidified definitions and interpretations and meaning that we assign to things. And Sagittarius is really about the entitlement to make the world a reflection of that, but also interpreting everything through that lens, right? We talk about the wound of Sidereal Sagittarius being indoctrination, right? And the makings of a cult. Indoctrination meaning that you are presented with information without context, right? Without the context that allows you to understand that there is a specific reason why we interpret and see things this way. Goes really hand in hand with Gemini, where the sun is, which is about propaganda, right? Gemini is about propaganda. And Sagittarius, Sidereal Sagittarius, is about indoctrination, right? And we know that propaganda is used to indoctrinate us. So here we have that tension, and here comes Jupiter in Pisces that's saying, ooh, wait, I hear what you're saying, Gemini. I'm reading the words that you're writing in the news media. I'm hearing the language that you're using to describe our experiences. I understand and recognize, or I am beginning to recognize, Sagittarius, the indoctrination into capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy, right? I hear you. I'm understanding. But something ain't adding up. Something is not making sense. I don't believe you, right? As Madison is saying in the comments, I don't believe you. Sidereal Pisces is about skepticism. And in my interactions over the past week or so, as someone whose chart is right in the crosshairs of this astrology, the skepticism is often rooted for Sidereal Pisces in the fear that your feelings are being weaponized against you. The fear of the fact that your body is being used to conceal the truth from you, or that what you feel in your body is evidence of the truth being withheld. And oftentimes, when we are skeptical, and as we are experiencing the rise of skepticism in the collective emotional and psychological atmosphere, right? As we bear witness to skepticism becoming a part of the fabric of how we are engaging with the world and each other, the skepticism is often not something that we experience in reference to what we are learning or hearing or understanding externally. The skepticism is often turned inwardly. A great example of this is when I talk about COVID. Now, For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I don't say anything haphazardly. I'm very particular with my words, and I'm very particular with my timing. And you also know that I've been on point, scarily accurate about predicting waves of COVID. And so every single time I bring up my old tweets that are talking about predictions I'm making about COVID, I get a whole slew of people calling me a fearmonger. And so I posted about this, right? That me being called a fearmonger actually has absolutely nothing to do with the words that I said, which are objectively verifiable, right? If it is truth that you actually want, right? Calling me a fearmonger is actually fear of your own body. So when we talk about embodying the truth and rejecting truths that come to us externally, rejecting them because they engender emotional experiences that we don't want to have, it is not me or the messenger of that truth that is a fear monger. It is your fear of your own body and the trauma in your body that is telling you the truth about the fact that fear has absolutely been used as a weapon to manipulate you into behaving in a certain way. So embodying the truth at this full moon is about not being afraid of your own body. I would venture to say that almost all trauma responses, the ones that continue to live and have their being through us and in us, long after we have escaped the source of the trauma, I would venture to say that all trauma responses are our fear of our own body, and rightfully so. But the reason we find ourselves in the cycles of emotional addictions and habitual emotional responses in our relationships, despite our better judgment, despite our intellectual understanding of the process, despite our understanding of PTSD and complex PTSD and the neurobiology of trauma, and we know that the body remembers, we know all of these things. Yet we cannot stop ourselves from behaving in these ways. Why can't we stop ourselves from reacting and responding in ways that contradict our better judgment? Fear of your body. Fear of your ability to cope or inability to cope with emotions that make you really uncomfortable. So we avoid fear rather than leaning into fear and respecting it as one of the most valuable tools our bodies have to keep us alive and in connection. We fear our bodies because our bodies are a threat to capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy. How could we or would we go to a place, a feeling state, a psychological place that threatens our capacity to survive and thrive in the world we live in? How could I come home to my body when my body itself is a threat to capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy? The things that hold hostage my food and my housing. They hold our survival hostage. And so the fear of the body is just evidence that the colonization has taken really well. The indoctrination has taken really well. The propaganda has been absolutely effective. Are you afraid of your body? How would you know that you are afraid of your body? And this is not a moral question. This is not about judgment. This is not about the judgment of, that's why you scared of your body. No, we're all scared of our bodies. If we are indoctrinated with the messaging that acknowledging fear will paralyze you, keeping you from selling your labor for food and housing. This is what's under the layers. Many of us fear that if we feel the fear, we will never feel any other feeling. We see fear as a consuming entity that sucks up and prevents joy, fun, happiness, love, and light. We interpret fear as the enemy of joy. Fear is the protector of joy. I'm gonna say that one more time because that was a revelation for me in the moment. Fear is the protector of joy. Embodying the truth. What does that mean? That means that your body, when everything else around you is lies and propaganda, your body tells you the truth. But rather than trusting our bodies, we gaslight ourselves. To gaslight means to deny our body's capacity to be the carrier of truth. And it's no wonder. It's no wonder. We live in a culture where we are constantly manipulated through intentionally mixed messages. They'll show us an image, they'll narrate it with words, and these two things are contradictory, and our bodies are left with trying to tell the truth. Let's take COVID. They show us a map that tells us, allegedly, where COVID is spreading. And then they change the map. But the words about the map don't change. They're still telling you, we're changing the way we're counting this and we're gonna change the colors, right? That's all intentional. The red versus the green. The green is go shop, go sell your labor, go travel, go to restaurants, go to concerts, go to museums, buy and spend and get out of your house. And the red is stop. They don't want to show you red. Now, this is really just simple color. In America, green light means go. Red light means stop. And so if I change the color of the map, even though you watching everybody around you, folks who ain't never had COVID in the entirety of this pandemic, finally getting COVID, the map says green. Your immediate connections to other people is eliciting an emotional response in your body that is actively being denied and contradicted by the messaging we receive out in the world. This goes across everything. I understood on TikTok, talked about how in capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy, everything that they say is actually the opposite of what they say it is. We use the word gaslighting a lot. And I've talked about it a lot. If you have the Wounds and Gifts workshop, which by the way, all orders over $25 are 40% off in my online shop. If you don't buy nothing else, get the Wounds and Gifts workshop. Worth every penny. You'll be listening to it for the next year, trust me. But in the Wounds and Gifts workshop, I talk about the wounds of mutable signs as being gaslit. And being gaslit is about having one of your faculties of perception being denied. No, you're not seeing what you're seeing. You're not hearing what you're hearing. You're not judging accurately. Your body is lying to you. Trust this instead. Don't trust your body. This moment says, trust the words that I'm telling you. But your body is like, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. And one of the things that's pretty insidious about this moment is that how can I trust people who are dissociated out of their body? How can I look around me and watch what other people are doing, which is in human nature, to figure out how to move, right? We are a herding species, right? And if the whole herd of horses is running off the cliff, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go off the cliff. Oh, no, it's fine. It's just going to be fun. But this is what they're doing, right? And so skepticism is often a weapon that we turn inward. Even when it looks like we are being skeptical about external things, even when it on the surface appears that we are being skeptical towards other people and the things that they say, we are actually being skeptical of ourselves. If I have to define you, if I have to call you, insert emotion that I don't want to feel, I think that's more of a statement about your relationship with fear than it is about what I'm saying. There are manufactured fear that legitimately exists. But the fear that is manufactured in capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy has to do with identity. And it has to do with dominance and power. Manufactured fear is always using your identity as a weapon against you. Manufactured fear requires you to rationalize it in the terms of someone's identity, race, gender, class, or sexual identity. Actual fear comes in your body, and you don't have to rationalize the fear that comes in your body. If your body says, don't you do it, maybe you will do it. But at the very least, sit and pause and be like, maybe my body knows something that my mind doesn't. Maybe your body knows something, perceives something that your intellect and eyes cannot see and perceive. So embodying the truth is not something that you must do. It is not an action you take. It's the reality of your lived experience. Are you present to it? Embodying the truth isn't something that you take time out of your day to do. It is an ongoing reality of your lived experience. But are you afraid of your body? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. When your emotional reality and truth is a threat to your survival, meaning feeling the pain in your knees, the discontent in your gut, the anger in your kidneys, the lump in your throat, holding back the righteous anger. Those things threaten your survival. Why would you make a home in your body? Why would you be safe in your body when it has been made very clear to you that any feeling that disrupts capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy is unwelcome and will be punished? Now, you know fear isn't welcome here, and neither is pain. Wear your pain medicine. Where's your antidepressants? I know that it's your job making you depressed. I know that it's living under the terror of whiteness that's making you anxious, but no fear here. Take your meds. Put your knee brace on. Where's your pain medication? No pain here. How will you have pain and still sell me your labor? How will you grieve and still sell your labor? No grieving. No grieving allowed here. You have to work. You don't work, you don't eat. Only this kind of joy. Buy it from me. Only this kind of happiness. The only happiness you get to have is the one that I sell to you. Don't you dare enjoy anything else. You eat in restaurants. You take planes, you stay in hotels, you go on vacations, and you go to concerts. That's the only fun that is allowed. Now give me my money. Give it to me. Oh no. No. No grieving allowed here. Grieving makes you stop spending money. Grieving makes you stop consuming. No way. No bereavement leave from your job. None. Zero. I don't have time to grieve. I don't have time to rest. Where's my Ambien and caffeine every 12 hours alternating between the two? This is not to shame you for being on antidepressants. This is not to shame you for drinking caffeine. I just had my second chai of the day. This is not to shame you for feeling pain and needing pain medication. And if you're feeling shame, that is not my doing. I'm telling you the truth. And your body is telling you the truth. The shame is your indoctrinated response to actually having feelings. We should never feel any shame about any feeling. And the fact that we feel shame about feeling any feeling is the evidence that our bodies are absolutely unsafe. And that they would prefer us to not listen to and recognize the fact that our bodies are the final arbiter of truth. They want you to watch CNN. They want you to follow the president's Twitter stream. This is the world that we're living in this moment. And so the question that I'm going to leave you with as I pull some cards is, which direction is your skepticism directed? Is your skepticism directed externally? Are you vetting sources? Or is your skepticism directed internally to your own body? When you find yourself being skeptical, pause. Which direction is your skepticism directed? How do you tell the difference? If you find yourself trying to rationalize, or explain away what you are feeling in your body, if you need to make up a story for why you're feeling what you're feeling, if you need to make up a story for why this feeling is not, if you have to blame someone else for eliciting an emotional response from you, yeah, It's true. We are manipulated into feeling things. Absolutely. But remember, external emotional manipulation is about power. And it's to reinforce dynamics of dominance between you and someone who you're being told is your enemy. Emotional manipulation from capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy is to get you to spend money and consume and to ignore your body. To externalize rather than taking ownership of. Let's pull some cards. I need some water. Where's my water, y'all? I'm thirsty. I've got my Afro Tarot 2 from Jessi Ujazi. Jessi had to change their name because these corporations decided that Jessi Jumanji couldn't be Jessi Jumanji. That's a rant that I've been holding into about how capitalism is constantly making us fight over ownership of things. Like, and I'm tired. I don't want to care. I don't want to care if you cite me or not. I don't want for my livelihood to be dependent upon whether or not I properly take ownership of my ideas. Like, I don't care. But here we are. Here we are. I'm so glad that Instagram now has pinned posts, because I have pinned the post that is letting you know that there are scammers on multiple platforms pretending to be me. And best believe, if you are on here now and you've just followed me, it's probably a scammer here in our midst, taking note, looking at your Instagram handle, and they're going to message you. If you should post or share anything, they're going to message you. And it's not me, okay? I have no reason to be in your DMs offering you a reading. None whatsoever. And honestly, anyone who's in your DMs offering you a reading, you should be, that's where your skepticism should be directed. All right. Embodying the truth at this full moon. What do you have to say, cards? I'm trying to get this to, y'all can see it. This is the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords. Y'all looking at screens, I really need to take a break because I've been getting nauseous lately. Even looking at myself on the screen is making me nauseous. Knight of Swords. This is truth in action. This is the Knight of Daggers from Afro Tarot 2. And this is about acting on your truth. The Knight of Daggers is being moved by conviction. Whenever we're talking about knights, it's compulsion. It is the zero distance between the impulse and the action. It's movement in the direction of. Movement in the direction of truth. The Knight of Swords says it with their chest. No hesitation. All right, we're talking about Sagittarius. Remember 2017 through January 2020? Saturn was in Sidereal Sagittarius. And I said over and over and over again, how are you making your life and your world a living testimony of your intentions and convictions? What are your intentions? What are your convictions? Hey, guess what, guys? Consumption, having access to consumption, is not a conviction. Petitioning the government for the right to consume and access to consume is not a conviction. But unfortunately, that's what's been at the core of all of our political movements and protests. I want access to consume. As inspiring and productive as the civil rights movement of the 1960s was, they were fighting for the right to consume. They were fighting for the right of livelihood inside capitalism. They were fighting for the right to joy inside capitalism. And perhaps we had to get inside capitalism to discover that this is not where we want to be. Yeah, access to schools and college, sitting in lunch counters, bus boycotts. We're here now. We fought to get here and we're here and we don't like it. So what are your actual convictions? I keep being reminded to say this. Surviving capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy is not freedom. Surviving in capitalism and surviving capitalism itself, surviving the terror and obsession with dominance of whiteness, meaning who you have to be and the things that you have to do. Surviving patriarchy, meaning accepting the reality of the power dynamics of gender in this society. That is not freedom. Should you get into a position of power or influence in these systems, that's not freedom. The self-erasure that you must participate in. So what are your actual convictions? If your convictions are rooted in the lived truths of your body, we might be getting somewhere now. If your convictions are rooted in the material circumstances that your body tells you the truth about, now we're getting somewhere. 8 of Swords. Immediately when I saw this card, what I heard was suffering our imagination. And lack of imagination. There's really a sense here of being trapped by our own convictions. There's a sense here of being trapped by our own beliefs. I'm also hearing about our ignorance and assuming that what we know is all that there is to know is something that traps us. I'm seeing also in this 8 of Swords about the way that indoctrination determines how we perceive things. And we think that we are acting in accordance with our own convictions, but they're actually not our own convictions because those convictions are not rooted in what? The truth that we embody. These cards are talking to me about the importance of a diverse emotional toolkit. that is necessary for freedom. Eyes wide open. When we talk about embodying the truth, we're talking about the conflict between what we hear and also what we know. And when our body does not conform to that, we don't turn around and say, maybe I'm missing something. We turn around and distrust our bodies. We don't even trust our bodies. Rightfully so, as I've said repeatedly on today, right? But when we are confronted with conflicting information, our body is the last place we look for the truth. So as we are yearning for, striving for liberation, as we are cultivating imagination, our bodies are not the last but the first place. Are your convictions rooted in the material reality and conditions of your actual body? Or are your convictions rooted in what you have been told is good by capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy? There's really only one way to know. What feelings are off limits for you? What feelings are off limits for you? What feelings are the ones you're like, nah, I'm good? And when you feel them, you blame them on someone else. Why you got me feeling like this? You're making me feel. What feelings are off limits for you? Those are the feelings that hold the most truth about your lived experience. This is not advice for you to go deep dive back into your body, because there's some things up in y'all bodies that probably not a good idea without some co-regulation of a safe person in a safe place. But at the same time, I am not the director of the planets. You're gonna have to talk to the good Lord and Savior about that. I'm not telling these planets where to go, but where these planets are going, Jupiter is about to get a little bit of help, and the truth in your body that you've been having trouble understanding, believing, and trusting is about to get a whole lot of bit louder. And so when your body gets louder, whose report will you believe? Whose judgment do you seek out in order to validate, discern your body, your feelings? Reminds me of the trend on whatever that website is, AITA, am I the asshole? Right? Am I the asshole? Or, which is really, do I have a right to feel this way? Do I have a right to feel this way? And see, here's the thing. You have a right to feel however you feel. Because maybe that's not what they're really asking. Do I have a right to feel what I feel? They're really asking, are the actions I took valid? Which is really about emotional vindication, right? This is what I did in response to this. Behind that is I judged this way or that way. This is how I feel about what this person did. And this is the action that I took in response. Am I right? Am I wrong? Right? Esso says, because even if you didn't want to feel it or think it was appropriate, here it is anyway, right? Conversations about appropriateness and validity of feelings are actually irrelevant. Because what are you going to do? All right, now, body, there's no reason for you to be afraid. Like, yeah, your body's not afraid anymore. Great. Like, that's how that works. That's how that works, right? Right? It works like that. Like, I feel anger. Now, listen. It's okay. There's nothing to be angry about. Just calm down. But this is what we do to other people. Reason very rarely disrupts or quenches feeling. Very rarely. But I think that's part of what's in this, right? The Eight of Swords is trying to reason themselves out of feeling. Let me just say all of these words to my body and think all of these thoughts and do some research and get some more information, and maybe my body won't. Maybe if I just keep talking about it and reading more books and having more conversations and getting the opinions of other people, yes, Gemini, maybe my body won't rebel against me. But honey, your body is not rebelling against you. Your body is rejecting capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy. And the reason why you think that your body is rebelling against you is because you've been indoctrinated to believe that capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy is in service to you. No, your body is in service to it, and your body don't like it. Your body don't want it. So look at all of the propaganda. Where did it go? Oh, shoot. I done put this card back in this deck. The swords are the propaganda. The swords are all of the words and all of the media and all of the news stories and all of the spin and the PR and the social media campaigns, right? Those are the swords. All of these words, all of these things trying to get you to not believe your body. What is your body telling you? What is it telling you? Is it hurting? What's hurting it? What's hurting your body? Your body's not hurting itself. And even if you are hurting yourself, you are just enacting on yourself the same pain that others haven't acted on you. You just took the knife, right? To mutilate, harm yourself. No guilt, no shame. We engage with our bodies the way that our bodies are engaged with. I'm trying to find this. Oh, here it is. I don't know why I did that. Can you see through the propaganda? Can you identify who's really lying? Who's really lying? Where is the source of the lie? I promise you it's not your body. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. We'd like to think that the trauma has ended, that we are no longer experiencing it, and that the responses, the trauma responses, are somehow just misplaced. But something is triggering it. Capitalism, whiteness, and patriarchy is fundamentally unsafe. It is fundamentally antagonistic to your safety and stability and security. That's the point. When we get to this new moon in Cancer, I'm going to come on here and I'm going to talk to y'all about the manufactured dependency, the forced dependency, the stripping of autonomy by capitalism, forcing us to be dependent on capitalism for our survival. And so, of course, if we are dependent on capitalism for our survival, anything that threatens it is going to feel like a threat to us. So that's the word. Whose report will you believe? Can you direct your skepticism in the right direction? Right? Here's some homework. Here's some homework for the next couple of weeks. Right? Who is this? William Grace says, we don't have PTSD, we have traumatic stress, and it's not post and it's not a disorder. Absolutely. So here's your homework. Here's your homework. It's going to take some practice, but it's really good and necessary practice, okay? Your homework is to treat every feeling that you have as if it is telling the whole truth. Not because you need to act on it or respond to it, but to be with it. What does this look like? What does this look like? Let's focus on grief. How about that? This is tough because a lot of times grief looks like another feeling. Right? Grief is a shapeshifter. Grief comes out as anger. Grief comes out as sadness. Grief comes out as despondency. Grief comes out as overwork. Grief comes out as overindulgence. Grief comes out as addiction. Grief comes out as self-harm. Grief comes out as isolation. Grief is a shapeshifter. This is your full moon ritual. Be in your body, VASGI. This is your full moon ritual. Your full moon ritual is to trust your body. And your homework is about grief. So, the curiosity says, I'm feeling anger. Is this grief? Just ask the question. No need to answer. No need to feel like you did it right or wrong. Is there some grief here? Ooh, that's anger. Is there some grief here? Grief hides, man. Grief hides. I almost want to say, and maybe this is something that we could do together. Maybe we can come together and invite our grief and say, hey, it's safe to come out now. It's safe to come out. All of the ways that you've been trying to get my attention, grief, I wasn't able to give you the attention that you deserve, but it's okay to come out now. Fear. I know I haven't trusted you. I know I haven't respected you. I know I haven't honored you and thanked you for saving my life. You are real and valid, fear. You are real and valid, fear. I'm sorry for not believing you. I really didn't know any better. Anger. I've struggled to let you have a right place in my life because anger has threatened my life and livelihood. And so it's really hard for me to be with you. There's so much anger. I'm afraid to let it out. I don't want to be destroyed by anger. I don't want to destroy my life and relationships with anger. But I recognize because I haven't given you the attention that you deserve, it's very possible that you might do that, anger. So let me make some room for you. Let me make some space for you to come and be here. Let me welcome you and let you know that my body is a safe space for you. I understand your role and function, fear. I appreciate you, fear, for protecting my joy. I'm grateful, fear, for you trying to protect my joy. I'm grateful, fear, for you trying to protect my body. I won't make an enemy of you, fear. I won't make an enemy of you, grief. I won't make an enemy of you, anger. I know that you are not my enemy, anger. I know that you are not my enemy, rage. Capitalism is my enemy. And it's why I've judged you so harshly, fear. Patriarchy is my enemy. That's why I've judged you so harshly, anger. Because in patriarchy, my anger elicits violence from the state and from people who claim power and dominance over me. And so I've been afraid of anger, and I've been afraid of fear, because if I show my fear, they'll see me as an easy target, because I'm not straight enough, because I'm not white enough, because I'm not cisgendered enough. So I've learned to conceal and reject my fear. I've internalized these judgments about my own body and feelings, because this is the judgment that I've had to have towards myself in order to survive. I need to see my fear how my abuser saw my fear. My abuser sees and saw my fear as weakness. So now I see fear as weakness. My abuser sees and saw my anger as a threat to their power. And so I see anger as a threat to my power. My abuser sees and saw my grief as a threat to the consumption required to keep capitalism going. And so now I see my grief as a threat. My capacity to embody my feelings and the truth that they tell me about the world around me has been co-opted. And so now I judge my feelings in the same ways that my feelings have been judged. Disregarded feelings are disregarded by me. My disregarded body is disregarded by me. But I want to come home. I want to come home. I'm Dayna Lynn Nuckolls, the People's Oracle. This is Divination for Liberation, where all oracles are tools of divination meant for our liberation. And liberation is the act of imagining together. It's communal imagining. It's imagining ourselves free. I have some really cool things that I'm percolating in my mind in terms of Imagine Us Free and this growing community and movement. So I hope that you'll pay attention, listen, and join me when I present these new offerings. I think in September, I want to start some group reading. And the first book is going to be on Black Anarchy by Lorenzo Kamboa Irving. So just keep that in mind. I'm thinking ahead now, but yes, September, we're going to be reading together. So maybe I'll put that in the email soon so that it'll give everybody plenty of time to get the book. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all at the full moon party. Go to Mix Mercury, MXMERQURI, for the link to register for the full moon party. I'll be there. Madison, Winter, and Elias will be giving us a word, a tarot word, as an intention and some insight to kind of guide our discussion and sharing. Tonight, I think Elias has tarot. I don't know. I didn't check with Elias. But yeah, I will see you all there. There's Mixed Mercury right there. Click their handles and follow them so that you can get the sign up link for the full moon party and the Libra support group that they're doing on the 28th. Bye, y'all.